Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Planning Committee meeting here at Fenland. My name is Councillor David Connor, and I'm Chairman of the Planning Committee here. Welcome to all those members of the press and public who are joining us via the live stream. Before we begin, please can I take this opportunity to remind members, everyone in fact, to turn their mobiles and computers to silent and ensure when using the microphones the red light is on and then turned off when you are finished speaking. So we'll now go quickly to agenda item number 1, and I'd like to ask member services if there are any apologies for absence, and it's Jo in on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies received today from Councillor Gershner. Councillor Murphy is in attendance today as a substitute member. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Murphy, for that. Agenda item number 2 is to confirm and sign the minutes from the meeting of the 12th of November 2025. Have I got a proposer for that? Councillor French. Who's going to second that? Councillor Mifferton, thank you. Are all members happy for me to get those minutes signed off and have a show of hands for that? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you them. They've been accepted, thank you. Agenda item number 3 is urgent items. There are none, but on Chairman's discretion, with the committee's consent, of course, I am moving agenda items 9 and 10, 11 up the agenda, and they will be heard first. Is everybody just quickly happy with that? Yep, thank you. Thank you for that. So we'll quickly go on to agenda item number 4, which is declarations of interest. Member services will now go to each councillor in turn, and can you please state if you have anything to declare in relation to any agenda item on this afternoon. So to you, Jo, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Benny.
Yeah, thank you, Jo. As always, declare that I know Matthew Hall from Morton Hall. He's done work for me before, usual things. Also a member of Chatteris Town Council, but I take no part in planning. I leave the room if it's ever discussed and take no part in the voting. And on item 5, this was an FDC application which I was involved in as portfolio holder. So I'll be stepping away from this afternoon, but I will be speaking on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Connor.
Yes, thank you, Jo. On application number 6, that's the Neem Parade application, I am advised by Mr Turnbull, our legal representative, that as I wasn't at the committee when this application was heard and deferred last June, I'm unable to sit when this agenda item is debated and obviously voted on. So I will leave the table and hand over to my fellow councillor, Councillor Marks, my Vice Chairman, to conduct this agenda item. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Mrs French.
Thank you, Chairman. Member of Marchtown Council, but I don't take any part in any discussions. Also member of several drainage boards, and I'm the portfolio holder for parks and open spaces. There is reference within, I think it's agenda item number 5, but I'm keeping an open mind.
Thank you. Councillor Mafferton.
Thank you. I'm a member of Wisbech Town Council, but I don't take part in planning there. Agenda item 5, I am part of FFL, so I will not take part, as well as item 6. Just as the chair declared, I will not be taking part in that. And also I am a member of a drainage board, and I know Matthew Hall on a professional level. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Jo. I'm a member of Mainey Parish Council, and also I attend occasionally Chatteris Town Council, both of which I take no part in planning. On item 5, I've been lobbied, but again remain open-minded. And on item 12, although I'm not sure whether it was lobbied or I had a call from the owners, I have reported this back to our legal officer and also our chair, but again remain open-minded. I'm also a member of various drainage boards.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Yes, thank you very much. I do know Matthew Hall, but I have nothing to do with him in business-wise at all. I'm a member of Chatteris Town Council, and I attend their council meetings, but I take no part in planning. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
So we'll go to the change. So agenda item 9, but I'm just going to bring in our legal representative, Mr. Turnbull, Stephen Turnbull, to give some indication of where we need to go on this.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this application is for residential and workplace use, and the issue for the council is that there is no power for the council to impose planning conditions or Section 106 obligations on a PIP application. This is a PIP application. So what I've advised is that it'd be better for the application to be deferred, and then the applicant can, or discussions can take place with the applicant to amend the application to make it more efficient, as it were, for the application to be approved or refused. If it were to be approved, then it would be framed in the correct way so that members could achieve what they want in that event. Hopefully that makes sense.
So, you've heard the legal advice. Very disappointed it hasn't been picked up before that, and I'm very sorry for the applicant and the agent for being put through this, and also the committee members who've read their reports and done site visits, and so, but we are where we are, as we say. So really, basically, are we happy to take this legal advice? Let's just have a show of hands first, just to make sure, belt and braces. Never happened before. No, we're not debating it at all now. No, so that's been agreed. So I'm looking for a proposer to do that. Councillor French.
Yeah, I propose this application is deferred.
Okay, have we got a second of that?
And brought back to us as soon as possible, hopefully January.
Councillor Marks is going to second it. So
I'm happy to second it, as long as it does come back to us in January.
I was just going to reiterate those marks.
I mean, I'm not entirely happy with this. I think this should have been picked up very much sooner than this. And the application's been in for a long time, and we get told when we come to the meeting today. But truly, I want to make sure this does come back to planning committee, and the head of planning has given us his word that this will come back. But for public record, are you going to bring this back to planning committee for us?
Through the Chairman, as members know, a new scheme of delegation is being brought in. It is my understanding it's not going to be brought in, taking into account the way that it's now required to go through Parliament, House of Lords, etc., for at least 2 months, and therefore I don't see any reason why this application will not be, as Councillor French has requested, in the January committee, which obviously is within 2 months. So I don't see any reason not to.
Okay, so I can follow. So we'll take a vote on that first, and I'll come in. So can I have a show of hands on the delegation first? So that's been deferral. Sorry, deferral, not the delegation. Deferral. Sorry. So that has been deferred. But if you like, can you liaise with me just at every opportunity, every step of the way, so I can assure the committee it will be their request will be confirmed. Yeah. Good. Well done. Thank you. So again, same sort of situation on application number 10. Again, I'll just bring, as a separate application, I will bring Stephen in. I'm sorry, Stephen, but we've got to do this another once after that.
That's all right. As mentioned on the previous application, we are recommending deferral because the council cannot at this stage impose conditions to regulate this development, and a deferral will enable discussions to take place with the applicant.
Okay. Just for belt and braces, are committee members happy with that again? Well, not happy, but okay. No. Well, thank you. So that's agreed then. So I'm looking for somebody to propose it. Councillor French to defer it. Councillor Marks is going to second it. Can I have a show of hands on that one?
Application is deferred.
Okay, and again, thank you. That application has been deferred. And can you also liaise with me as before, so I can brief the planning committee members where we're actually going? Thank you, Matt. That's a nod. Thank you very much for that. So we'll go to 11 again. Stephen, sorry.
Thank you. Yes, the advice on this one again is members to defer, because currently members have no power to impose conditions or planning obligations to regulate the development, so we recommend deferral.
Okay, can we have a show of hands on that, please? Sorry.
Chair, I've just read number 9. There is no mention, permission in principle for 2 dwellings. No mention of a workplace home for number 9.
Okay, before we do that, can I
Yeah,
just,
sorry,
I'll
I was
bring,
just-
okay, before, that's a relevant point. I'll bring Matthew in just to clarify things for you, Councillor Mark.
Through Chairman, this is the reason, part of the issue is why it's probably come so late into the process that it's come to, which is that officers have refusing it on the basis of, or recommended refusal on the basis of a number of concerns, because of the ability, that is what has been submitted, that is what the supporting document is. So it's just coming to a situation where actually, if we were to, we can't actually grant permission for a workplace dwelling, which is what the applicant submitted.
Sorry. It says here permission in principle for 2 times dwellings. There is no mention of workplace homes on agenda item number 9.
Through Chairman, but it is in the report, that's what the scheme is for.
The others mention clearly workplace homes. Number 9 doesn't on its initial one.
Chairman, we have already made that decision in any event. We can't go back and...
It's a relevant point, and if it's in the report, it's anomaly. There must be some sort of anomaly on the sheet.
I've just searched through the report and it's coming up at 10.10 of the report. Well, that's framework 10.11, 10.13, 10.15. Yeah, it's heavily within the report, so it's so that's the...
Chairman, can I then say that this seems very strange? You know, we have the other 2 that clearly state workplace homes when people are reading this, and obviously, you know, further in it does say. So I think we need to be careful going forward that we actually, when the permission is put, what we're actually giving permission for, as opposed to we seem to have one thing and then we've got an add-on.
Yes, unfortunately, it is in the report. So I think the legal standing does stand, in my opinion. So I don't know where we got to now, but we'll do. Did we do number 11? So yes, well, we do a proposal for number 11. Councillor French, seconded. Who needs a seconder? Well done. I see that was a really, really hard thing. You put your hand up there, Councillor Marks, but legally we can't do anything else. So hands up on that. Again, Matt, again, goes without saying, I need to know, with the greatest respect, what's going on. Thank you. Hand over to Hayley Haynes, Planning Officer here at Fenland, to present application F/YR250258. It's a variation of conditions application, agenda item number 5. So if you're ready, thank you. Hayley, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This Section 73 application relates to land east of the Elms, Chatteris, a 3.59 hectare site forming the northern part of the East Chatteris strategic allocation. Outline planning permission was granted in September 2024 for up to 80 dwellings, subject to a Section 1 agreement securing 20% affordable housing and financial contributions, including the provision of an on-site locally equipped area for play. This application seeks to amend Condition 7 to remove the requirement for a vehicular access to the southern boundary, retaining only a cycleway and footpath link, to remove Condition 16 requiring an on-site leap, replacing this with a financial contribution towards improvements at the Wenny Recreation Ground, and to remove affordable housing provision and infrastructure contributions supported by a detailed viability assessment. This is the location plan and aerial photograph of the site. This is the site plan from the approved outline permissions showing vehicular access off of the Elms with combined cycle path and footpath shown to the south. And this slide shows the wider allocation within policy LP10, which stipulates that the allocation for East Chatteris is expected to be predominantly a mix of open space and a high quality, relatively low density residential area. comprising of around 300 dwellings. Independent reviews of the applicant's financial viability assessment have been undertaken and confirm that the scheme is unviable even without affordable housing or Section 106 contributions. On this basis, officers accept that the removal of these obligations, whilst regrettable, is justified to ensure the site's delivery consistent with national and local policy objectives to maintain housing supply on allocated sites. The proposed rewording of Condition 7 is also considered acceptable. The local highway authority raises no objection, confirming that the outline permission was assessed on the basis of access from the elms only. The removal of Condition 16 and replacement with a £67,000 off-site contribution secured through a deed of variation is likewise supported. In summary, the application is supported by robust independent evidence and the proposed variations are considered to comply with the relevant local plan policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have two speakers on this application. First, I'd like to ask Councillor Ian Benny, District Councillor, to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I won't be long, I won't take the full 5 minutes. This scheme used to be in my council ward. It's still in my adjacent council ward. And also this was one of the schemes we looked at when I was on the investment board for Fenland, and it was also fell under my portfolio, which is why I'm not taking part in the debate this afternoon. I've always supported this application, and the reason I've supported this is because when I first became a councillor for Birch Ward, I had several residents there contact me, and there is a flooding issue in the Elms. When they built the Farrier's Gate development, which adjoins this, it was built at a higher level, and the water runs off Farrier's Gate and runs into the Elms. Now, people's gardens, they've given me photographs with the gardens underwater, halfway up wheels of cars that are parked. And I went to see David Rowan, who's head of planning, and I said to David, what do we do to resolve this drainage issue? And he said to me, the best thing you can do is build near it. That will resolve your problem. This is the once in a lifetime chance we've got to fix those flooding issues in the Elms. Now, as a councillor, you can be unpopular for building stuff, you can be unpopular for a lot of things, but fixing a situation where people's houses do not flood is a vital part of our job. This is what we should be doing. And this is why I've always supported this application, because when I was portfolio holder, I was involved in meetings with Lovells, who are the construction people that are going to build this. And in those meetings, I said to one of the officials from Lovells, is this going to fix the problem in the Elms? And he said to me, yes, this will. I said, can you give me a written guarantee that this will fix the problems for the residents of the Elms? And he looked and he thought for a minute and he said, yes, this will. Well, that is as good as you're ever going to get as a councillor to fixing a problem. And if we look at the site, which is on the map, we have got 2 attenuation ponds there. Now, that is not only to take the water away for this side, it's also to take the water away that is flooding through from Farrier's Gate. Now, this to me seems, this is the only chance we're ever going to get to fix this, and it would be a lost opportunity if this does not go ahead. It's an outline that we've been outlined. The application was for 80 houses. It's not going to be 80 houses, it will be just over 50, because the amount of land that is taken for the attenuation ponds to drain this water away. And that's why this variation of condition is needed, because the costs of doing this work, it's just not, it's prohibitive. It could stop this from going ahead. And I would ask members today to support this. We are losing social housing from this, but we've passed several houses that are down West Street. As a councillor, you need social housing for local need, but you don't need social housing where we could have just, people sent here because they need somewhere to live. Chatteris is a nice place, and I fully support this for the social housing that we passed. I appreciate we need it, but if this solves the problem of the flooding in the Elms, that is a price that is worth paying, in my opinion. So I'll keep it short, and I would ask members to support this afternoon for those very reasons. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Benny. Questions, clarifications to Councillor Benny, and you've got one, Councillor Marks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benny. Thank you for that. Firstly, how many social housing do you think has been passed in Chatteris recently?
I don't know. I started to look it up last night and I couldn't find things on the planning portal. I was going to give you an exact answer to that. I can't. We passed several down that were, the whole estate was down West Street. We've got the Hallam land that will come through. That will have social housing in. And truly, you want enough social housing for your local need. We don't want it where we could just have people just sent to Chatteris because it's cheap to live, and that does happen. Council several years ago were taking people out of London where the housing benefit is £1,500 to £1,600 a month, and send them somewhere like Chatteris where it's £600 a month. And truthfully, I want to keep my town a nice place where it is. I'm not saying these people are bad in any way, that's not what I'm saying. But these should be for local people, and I fully support the developments that we're doing. But the main thing with this one is the drainage issues for the residents of the Elms.
Thank you. And regarding flooding, can you remember the last time that flooded down there?
Truthfully, no. I haven't had a resident because it's not my ward anymore. But I had, when Wenny Meadow was coming up, no, it wasn't. It was a car park that they were going to sell. Fenland was going to sell. I had a resident ring me up, say, could you come and see me? And I got there and there were 30 residents in the house. And, you know, that's my job. And we sat down and we talked about that. And at that point, residents were showing me photographs where the gardens are actually underwater and there's cars with water right above the tyre, and the whole road is flooded at the bottom of the Elms. And that's when I went to see David Rowan about this, and he said the best thing is to build. This is the solution to that, and this is a one-time opportunity to fix that problem there. And truthfully, I would rather be unpopular for building something that people don't want than be unpopular for having a house that's got 2 foot of brown water running through people's houses. That is a situation we should not allow people to be in.
That's a fair comment. Anybody else at all? Councillor French?
Thank you, Mr. Bennett, for your presentation. It is disappointing that we're losing affordable housing, but I fully understand it. I'm not sure if this is a question to you or the agent. Are you aware that the local lead flood authority has been consulted on this? I did actually attend a flood meeting this morning, and obviously it is something that really concerns us about flooding.
Truthfully, I don't know. That'd probably be best asked to the agent. Because I'm not portfolio holder anymore, I don't get involved in the briefings of this. So Sydney is the chap who's taken over from me, and he'll get those briefings. If I was still in there and doing the job, I would probably be able to answer that. But I don't see the briefings anymore, so I don't know who has. It should be a consultee, but I don't know what the answer is.
Yep, that's right. I'll leave you to answer that one most definitely for the agent, and I'm sure you will, Councillor French. Any more questions for Councillor Benny before we let him go? Lovely. Thank you very much. Your ordeal is over, Councillor Benny. Thank you. So, now I'd like to invite John Mason. He's the agent to make his presentation to the committee. You've also got 5 minutes, Mr. Mason. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon members. Thank you for taking the time to consider our application. The application before you seeks to amend several key aspects of an outline permission granted by Fenland District Council in September 2024. The outline application for land east of the Elms approved the principle of up to 80 homes on the site and the principle of access from the Elms. All other matters were reserved. As you are aware, the site is to be purchased by Fenland Future Limited for delivery. Fenland Future Limited is the wholly owned subsidiary of Fenland District Council. Fenland Future's purpose is to deliver much needed housing and provide a financial return to the council, which can then be used to support council services and local projects. This site in Chatteris provides Fenland Future with the opportunity to build a range of new homes for local people and to provide a revenue stream for the council. To achieve this, Fenland Futures have employed the highly experienced construction company Lovell Partnerships to design and deliver a housing scheme which provides much needed local housing and additional revenue back to Fenland District Council, thereby maximising the financial return from the site. Following the outline approval, Fenland Future and Lovell Partnerships have been working with our architects and engineers to fully understand the constraints of the site. This has led to 3 key changes being proposed, which require an amendment to the outline application. Firstly, and most notably, the site is at risk of surface water flooding. The outline application included limited detail on how surface water could be safely managed without increasing flood risk elsewhere, and on top of this, updates to the Environment Agency's flood map to account for climate change now suggest that the site is more at risk than previously thought. As a result, we will be proposing a cut and fill exercise to raise some parts of the site and lower others, ensuring that new homes are protected from flooding and any floodwaters can be directed out of the site to the east. This has reduced the developable area and increased the engineering costs. Only 54 homes can now be delivered instead of 80, and we cannot provide any affordable housing. This change has been subject to robust scrutiny with your officers and third-party consultants. While there is some disagreement over the exact construction costs, all parties agree that the scheme will not be viable if it provides affordable housing and consequently would not be able to proceed. The second key change is regarding the vehicular link to the south. A condition attached to the outline permission requires a road link to the south. However, the outline application only proposed a link from the Elms. This was the basis of highways modelling done at the time, and this is what was shown on the approved outline plans. A pedestrian and cycle link to the south will have several advantages. It will promote walking and cycling through the developments east of Chatteris, linking with public footpaths to the town centre and out to the countryside. It will also limit the traffic going through the Elms, which will now only have a vehicular link to the homes on our site, rather than a vehicular link to homes across the entire eastern allocation. This change has been reviewed with the county and your planning officers, who have confirmed that removing this link will be in compliance with both the allocation and the outline application. Finally, we are proposing to remove the public play area from the site and make a commuted sum payment of £67,000 to replace and improve existing play equipment nearby. Our proposed homes are already within walking distance of several play areas, and your planning officers and open space team agree that it will be better for the local community if these existing play areas were upgraded. A play area on our site would duplicate existing provision and would also be located in areas at risk of flooding, which may limit its usability. If this variation application is approved, Fenland Future will move forward with their reserve matter submission for the 54 homes, which will set out the precise layout and designs of the homes and open space. Fenland Future, in partnership with Lovell Partnerships, are confident that this scheme is deliverable and will be able to get on site in good time to ensure that these new homes to meet the needs of Chatteris can be delivered. I would like to conclude by thanking your planning officers for their assistance. The officers' report before you is thoughtful and well balanced. Whilst it is regrettable that the site cannot deliver affordable homes, the site will continue to play an important part in delivering housing, open space, and pedestrian and cycle connections for the district, fulfilling the aims of the allocation. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr Mason. Members, questions, clarifications? Councillor French has one, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Mr Mason. You heard the question I asked Councillor Bainey. Do you have an answer to that?
Could you just repeat the question, sorry?
Have you been speaking to the local lead flood authority at County Council with regard to the flooding issues that already exist down there and how this will actually help another part of the town?
Thank you, Councillor. So we have submitted the reserve matters already, which includes a detailed surface water drainage scheme that's been worked on by our engineers Rossi Long. They have been engaging with the LLFA on a pre-application basis to agree the plans. And also as part of the reserve matters submission, which is already in the system now, that's been subject to consultation as well from the LLFA and Anglian Water. And so they have written responses already online, which I think approve our drainage strategy. So the officers will be making their assessment of that shortly. And my understanding of the surface water flooding issues is that it comes into our site from a variety of directions and kind of pools and mixes around. So our cut and fill exercise will create contour lines that will actually channel it out of the site and out to the countryside to the east. So it should take floodwater from the surrounding areas and direct that all in a controlled manner. That's my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you for the reply. I did have a meeting earlier this morning with the LFFA, and we do know about the issues on flooding, but your application was not discussed today on the March problems that we've got. So thank you for that. So with regard to the public open space and the money you propose, I fully support as a portfolio holder for parks and open spaces that it's best to have better quality play areas rather than too many small ones, and thank you for that.
Yep, thank you, Councillor French. Councillor Marks?
Thank you, Mr Mason. Just picking up on a point Councillor French says, where £67,000 will be redirected into Fenland local parks. What figure had you actually put in, do you happen to know, for the park that you were proposing initially? £67,000 seems very light for a park.
I am not sure of the answer off the top of my head. I think in our initial viability review there was a figure for public open space. I don't know if the officer will be picking up on that point as part of their presentation. I can't quite recall what the open space team have said in their consultation response, but I think the £67,000 figure came from them, and we agreed it.
Thank you. We'll be asking officers. And following on from that, the social housing, obviously, which we are concerned about because there's going to be quite a loss. You've got a very large attenuation ponds on site. Is that one of the reasons, because of land use, that they have been taken away?
Yes, exactly. So that was all part of the flood engineering works that are creating these areas of raised and lowered land. We can only raise enough land to lower the equivalent amount of land, which means that you aren't going to flood back into the elms and so on. And that means that we have quite a tightly defined developable area. And so increasing that developable area to include, for instance, a play area would mean that you have to then deepen those channels for surface water, which was reaching the point where it wouldn't work anymore. And so the balance that we've struck is quite a tightly defined developable area where land will be raised, and that can only fit 54 homes. And at 54 homes plus the engineering works, that's why it's no longer viable to provide the 20% affordable.
Thank you.
Anybody else at all before I come in? Thank you for your answers. They've really clarified my thoughts, and thank you for working with officers. I was really disappointed when I saw this report first out, and I thought, well, losing 16 affordable houses, but I can see now from your excellent answers from members, I can actually see where we're coming from this. So I can see from Councillor Bennett's presentation, it will, and your confirmation that it will relieve the flooding, or will relieve flooding from nearby properties, which has got to be good. So I thank you very much for that. I'm a lot clearer than I was, and a lot even happier than I was as well. So thank you. So members, any more questions before we let Mr. Burton go? No? Thank you very much. Members, questions, clarifications of officers, and I'm sure you've got one, Councillor Marks.
Hopefully officers are a bit ahead of the game. Could you tell me what was initially put in for the play park, please?
Through you, Chairman. Obviously, we don't have the information that the applicant had in their assessment originally for what they were looking to spend. The figure we have negotiated and agreed in the Section 106 relates to what our Parks team were looking for in 2021 in relation to improvements, enhancements to the existing play facilities, and we've index linked it up to the figure that we've got in the officer's report.
Thank you. Just to confirm, so that's back in 2021.
To Chairman, yeah, we've index linked it though, so the figure is obviously higher than what was originally requested for. I think it was £60,000, but yeah, we've index linked that. So that was what was needed to wash its own face at the time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, this £67,000 doesn't buy a lot in today's. It certainly doesn't. In Doddington, where they had they had some added some play area equipment, and that was more than that, and you can hardly see the difference it made, to be fair. I think that's really unacceptable to me, really. I know where we are, but that's really a really frugal amount to spend extra on play equipment, in my opinion. Thank you. That's more of a comment than a question, really. You can answer if you like.
Chairman, obviously, well, I would say the issue with this application is viability. The reason that we're still asking for this is that this is needed to make the scheme acceptable because of shortfall on site. So, yeah, if it was just on a viability reason, if it was, for example, a normal scheme that had provided the acceptable level of amenity provision, we wouldn't, and it was a viability issue, we wouldn't be getting anything. So, yeah, we are where we are, though. Thanks, Chairman.
I think the point's taken. Do you want to come back at all? No? No one else wants to? Oh, yes, you do. Thank you very much. Councillor Murphy.
I'd just like to say that one thing about this, hindsight is a wonderful thing. And years ago, when that bypass was built, that's from Wenny Road to the Aldi roundabout, where everything was said was, when we opened it, we walked down the middle of the road and opened it like that. And everything that was inside of that bypass was for planning. It all came up for planning. It said that will be used now from now on. As I say, it's wonderful hindsight because now we're talking around about 30 years ago or more, 40 years ago, and it's still not built on. And it needs to be built on because that is part of Chatteris. Instead of building outside the areas of Chatteris, that is the inside the area, and that needs to be built on totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think that's perhaps in debate, Councillor Murphy, but never mind. You've said the point. Well taken. Well articulated again. So any more questions to officers at all? No, can't see any. So members, I'm going to ask you to debate the application in respect to the material planning considerations relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand, and Councillor French is first. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, there's quite a bit in there. First of all, I'll speak on the £67,000. I really think that's irrelevant. By the time they put the reserve matters in, and by the time that's approved, and by the time they start, that's going to be 4 or 5 years down the line, and we're not going to exist. So I think the £67,000 really is irrelevant. As you all know, we are working on Inspire and Place and Pride. We've just been awarded £1.5 million from government. I think we've had the first half of it. So, and we are looking at every play area across the whole of the district. So hopefully we will enhance Chatteris playgrounds. I'm glad really that they've really looked at this flooding issue, because that has been a problem I understand in Chatteris for a long time. So I will support this application. It does actually say in 10.55 on public open spaces. But one thing I'd like to point out, Chatteris Town Council, can't find it now, Chatteris Town Council, I have to say I actually take quite, not happy with the suggestions that they believe that this application should be heard by another authority. You know, this is a very experienced planning committee. We've been about, we looked at this some time ago, and I do not agree with Chatteris Town Council's comments, and I really do think some of it is quite offensive.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Councillor French. I say there's some experienced people on this planning commission, and I was chairman of Camps County Council planning for several years before, as in conjunction with this one, and this ranks as good as I've ever been on, and the decisions, in my opinion, are excellent by an excellent planning committee. So I absolutely agree with your comments, Councillor French. So anybody else open to the debate? Did you want to speak, Councillor Marks?
Thank you. Fully agree. £67,000 is a drop in the ocean, and the likelihood of us ever seeing it is zero anyway. Concern, yes, we're losing some social housing, which is a concern, but there is community benefit as well by, as we've already heard, with the drainage further along the road. As my colleague beside me has said, this was earmarked 30 years ago for housing. Okay, the argument could be that it should be more social housing. However, we've still got to have viability. If we didn't have, if we were just putting social housing there, it would be unaffordable anyway, and it would never get developed, and then we'd still have the flooding issue, and the flooding issue won't go away unless this is dealt with. So on this occasion, as much as I don't like to see the social housing going, I think this is the best of I'm not going to say a bad job, but is the best way forward for this piece of land and also the community around it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You know, as you quite rightfully said, if we asked for if we didn't agree with this viability agreement, it just wouldn't get built, and the flooding would still be there. So it's really unfortunate. It's a no-brainer, really. So I shall be supporting this application. Anybody else at all still in debate? I think I've got a feeling where this is going, so I'll close the debate now. Officers, do you want to come in there at all? So I'm looking for a proposal on this application. Councillor Murphy, you're first. You're proposing this, or Councillor French, okay.
Propose we accept the officer's recommendations.
I'd second that, Councillor Murphy. Okay, so we've got a recommendation to approve this application proposed by Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Murphy. Can I have a show of hands on that, please?
Application is approved, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So, yep. Okay, right. So, just to reiterate my declaration, any member who was not present when the next agenda item was originally considered cannot take part in the consideration of this item today. And as that applies to myself, I'll now hand over to Councillor Charlie Marks to present this item.
Thank you. I will now hand over to Hayley Parker, Hayton's Development Officer, to present FYR 250347/F agenda item number 6.
Thank you. This application proposes the redevelopment of a site within the March Conservation Area to provide 2 self-built dwellings. The scheme has undergone significant design revisions following committee deferral in June 2025 and subsequent engagement with the Conservation Officer. Amendments include reductions in scale, revised roof pitches, narrowed dormers, removal of an integral garage and adjustments to improve proportions and the relationship with surrounding development. This is the location plan, the existing site plan, the proposed site plan, and the previously proposed site plan, the existing elevations and floor plans, the proposed elevations for plot 1, and the previously proposed plans for plot 1, the proposed plans for plot 2, the previously proposed plans for plot 2, the existing, proposed and previously proposed street scene elevations, and some photographs of the site. The scheme has undergone significant design revisions following committee deferral and subsequent engagement with the Conservation Officer. Whilst the resulting design does not wholly reflect the traditional character of Neen Parade, the existing dwelling is itself uncharacteristic, and the revised scheme now sits more comfortably within its context. No substantial harm to the detriment of the character and appearance of the conservation area is identified. The application is now accordingly recommended for approval, subject to the completion of a legal agreement securing the self-building custom nature of the development, and the following conditions are set out within the officer's report, or to refuse permission if the legal agreement is not completed within 6 months from the date of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley. And we have one speaker on this application, and I would like to invite Matthew Hall, the agent, to make his presentation to the committee. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I won't go over everything I said at the previous committee in June. It was deferred from the June committee, as Hayley has said. It was agreed by the committee that demolishing the existing 1970s bungalow that's heavily damaged with subsidence and setting 2 dwellings was acceptable. My opinion here, the planning officer, Hayley, quite frankly, has worked with us, bent over backwards to help us here, is probably sick to death of receiving my emails. We've had a really, really good service here. It comes forward with a recommendation for approval. It's 2 3-bed chalets right in the middle of town. The client is happy to sign the self-build declaration and pay the fee, which we were given last week. It comes forward with a recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to invite members to put questions to Mr. Hall. If you would like to ask a question, please can you raise your hand? Councillor French.
Thank you. It's not a question, Chairman. Matthew, I'd like to say thank you that you actually listened to the planning committee from June, and you have gone away and worked with the officers. So I thank you for that.
Any further questions, Mr. Hall? Thank you, Mr. Hall. I would now like to invite members to put questions to officers. Councillor French.
Yeah. If this application is approved, can you please make sure there is a very strong condition on there that while demolishing this, the existing bungalow, and when they're rebuilding, that they do not park on Neen Parade. A couple of months ago, I had complaints that people couldn't go up and down because they were removing something. So please make sure, I fully support this application now. Please make sure that condition is in there. It is single track. It's a one-way, it's two-way, but it's a single track. And, you know, it is neighbours from hell at the moment with trying to get up and down the road.
Officers?
Through you, Chair. Yeah, we can add a condition for a construction management plan just to secure them details.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you everyone. I would now like to invite members to debate the item in respect of the material planning considerations relevant to the application. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. Councillor French.
We did heavily debate this in June. The agent and the applicant and the officers have worked together on this. I don't really think it warrants much debate.
Thank you. Councillor Benny.
More to echo what Councillor French said. Very pleased to hear that officers have worked with on this. That's nice to hear, and thank you very much for that. Yeah, this is the answer we were looking for last time. Just needs proving, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further debate? No? Okay. Thank you. Members, does any officers have any points of clarification? No? Okay. Do I have a proposal to go with officer's recommendation to grant planning permission? With additional conditions? Yes. Councillor French. Do I have a seconder for this recommendation? No. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. We will now go to the vote. If you support the proposal to go with officer's recommendation, please raise your hand.
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
Thank you, Joe. This proposal has been granted. Do we want to take a 5-minute break? Oh, Councillor.
Screen is telling us.
Right, okay, we'll go for 10 minutes.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, members, for being back on time. Quickly hand over to Tom Donnelly, Development Officer here at Fenland, to present application F/YR25/0776. Again, it's a PIP application, agenda item number 7. So when you're ready, Tom, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is an application for permission in principle for the erection of up to 9 dwellings. The only matters for consideration on such applications are the location, use and amount of development proposed, and the site is located on land north of 286 Wisbeach Road in Westbury.
In the report it says 386. Is it 286 or 386?
Apologies, yes, it's 386, that's my mistake. So the site currently comprises an undeveloped parcel of land with residential properties adjacent to the site to the north and south, and development on the opposite side of Wisbeach Road to the east, with the site forming a 100-metre gap in development on this side of the highway. There is a nearby site approximately 50 metres to the north of the application site that was subject to an appeal decision in 2019 following the refusal of planning permission for the erection of 8 dwellings. The assessment and decision on this appeal is relevant and considered to have some weight in the assessment of this application. In the inspector's decision, they concluded that the site was located in an elsewhere location as defined by policy LP3 of the Fenland local plan. In such locations, development will only be supported where it is demonstrated that it is essential to the effective operation of local rural enterprises. And the inspector further concluded that the site was in an unsustainable location for residential development and was subsequently dismissed on this basis. An indicative site layout plan has been submitted alongside the application, showing a layout of 5 dwellings in a linear pattern served by a single centrally located access point. And photos of the site show its open and undeveloped nature with established boundary treatments present along the northern and southern boundaries of the site. The photos also show that the site fronts onto the A141, which offers a main transport route between March and Wisbeach. So in terms of the assessment of the application, as previously mentioned, the only issues for consideration are the location, use and amount of development proposed. The amount of development proposed is considered acceptable in terms of the capability of the site in providing an appropriate layout at technical detail stage. However, the site is considered to be located in an elsewhere location where development can only be supported if it is essential to the effective operation of local enterprise. Whilst there is residential development adjacent to the north and south of the site, policy LP3 does not allow for infill development in elsewhere locations, and in any event, the frontage of the site measuring 100 metres and amount of development proposed in this application is considered to exceed that which would be considered infill development in any case. Furthermore, when having regard to the previous appeal decision nearby, the development of the site for residential purposes would not constitute sustainable development due to the distance to services and facilities, and would inherently result in the erosion of the open and rural landscape character of the area. The proposal is therefore considered contrary to policies LP1, LP3, LP12 and LP16 of the Fenland local plan and chapter 2 of the MPPF, and is accordingly recommended for refusal on that basis. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, Tom. We have 2 speakers on this application. First, I'd like to invite Mrs. Simmons. She's an objector to the proposal to make her presentation. You've got 5 minutes. Start when you're ready. No rush, but when you feel comfortable. Thank you. Like that, and when you finish, then you just turn it off.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to submit any comments that I have for this planning in principle. I'm no way a expert in planning or any environmental or any highway stuff at all. I am a resident. A couple of points. Let me just say I'm a little bit nervous, so if I do get it wrong, I'm only human. So the A141 is a major and a very busy road. Westbury is an elsewhere. He's probably said it. Thomas Donnelly has probably said everything that I've already got written down anyway. The points I would like to put across is that it said that it is a flood zone 1. According to the government flood map, it does say that the areas are flood zone 2 and 3. Now, there's been planning at the paddocks, there's been planning across the road, as you know, but the flood zone seems to be closer than a flood zone 1, and it also states that it is very close to flood zone 2. I'm not quite happy with that because we're going to get flooded out. So there's been two power cuts in the last week or so. We've been having loss of water, complete loss of water and low water pressure. The infrastructure and extra pressure on the electricity supply, the water supply and the internet quality is unreliable at times. The area of Westbury is an isolated area. There's no nearby shops, no nearby facilities. It's got poor bus routes. I mean, that's every 2 hours, is it? Every 2 hours, I'm not sure. The properties across the road took 6 months or more to rent out. That's just from what I see, because I live directly across. So how are these going to be rented out as social housing? How are people going to get across the road? You know, there's all that. There's the localised flooding surface water and that runs off to existing properties. The residents are extremely worried for this development if it worsens. We have severe congestion. The emergency vehicles just the other day, when we had the lights down there, the tractor actually literally had to go onto the curb across the road from my property. I live at 400, and it had to come round. It's totally unsafe for another development to be done, especially because you've got a block plan there and the one across the road. It's just going to cause chaos. The summary of mine is it conflicts the plan of the local policy 3. It's an unsustainable location. It's an isolated area. The flood risk is misinterpreted, and the highway safety on a major road. It provides housing in an area where the demand is low and its existing permits are undeveloped. So I don't understand why it's even going to reach anything, because it's just an agricultural area. I've lived here for since 2011, and from my opinion, I've lived in certain parts of March, right in the centre near the police station. I've come back, I've gone out to Russell Avenue, I've gone out to Station Road. I wanted a little bit of peace. This is Westbury, and I love the way it is. It should be agricultural. The agricultural land was being used from October. Prior to October, it was being used, and the local supply of produce is now being used in the area. You've got Lidl's and you've got Aldi's. You know, it does say where it's come from, and it come from March. So why are we going to lose it? We shouldn't be losing all the greenery. Why are we going to build there when there's other suitable places that are being built now? I'm only putting my point of view. I'm not an expert in anything. I mean, I ain't got any. If you have got any questions for me, I respectfully asking the planning authority to consider all these points, as well as numerous other residents' objections. All the objections and all the other points that I've put across are highly relevant. And as for 433 building, I would just, where they did the planning for that, them objections are completely relevant, as it's a stone's throw away from where they want to put it now.
Lovely. Yeah, you've done good. You're all right.
All right, I didn't get all of it in,
So,
but I wish I could.
No, don't worry about that. You've done good. Members, any clarifications? Questions? You've got one, Councillor.
Thank you. Yeah, I live at Westbury. I live down the road from you. Neighbours. Yeah, not neighbours, but half a mile away. Interesting. I didn't have a power cut, and I didn't have lots of water. So you must have been very unfortunate. Yeah. I live near KFC. But
there was low water pressure all the time. I say all the time, but you know, like throughout the year, we do get low water pressure, and we do get cut off. And it's the same with the electric. It cuts out. It cuts out. It sets everything to reset, and that's twice in the last 2 weeks. We also had a water shortage for a considerable amount of time with regards to during the day. So, you know, I mean, we've got low water pressure, then it stopped, and I say the infrastructure, it's all these matters, the electric, the water supply, the internet supply, the roads, everything, it's just going to be built up. But the water, it definitely went off, and it went off for a couple of hours. So, you know, you're going to put another 9 houses on this side. That planning across the road there was another 8, you know, and it's not going to work. And you're going to have, what, 3 cars on each drive for each house. How many people and occupants are going to be in there using the water? You know, and also I would like to add that if it is, we're not a part of the mains, we have cesspits. So if we've got social housing, they might not be aware of how to use the system that's there already. Who's going to maintain it? We're not going to have somebody out there all the time. If something goes wrong, are they going to put down all the you know, like the stuff like bleach and stuff like that? You know, we've got rules and regulations and the environment to think of. That's all I can say. But as with the water and the electric, we've had 2 power cuts within the last 2 weeks, or week, or whatever it is, and then we've had the water that's been cut off and low pressure. How is that all going to be put into this planning?
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mrs. Simmons. As I say, you're unfortunate. I certainly haven't had water cuts or electric, but I have listened to you, and certainly I will have quite a lot to say in debate. But thank you for that.
Okay, anybody? Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Just to clarify, you say that the land was in use till October. Have they just left it fallow at the present time, or have they drilled and left that site as part?
Right, so until October, it was being farmed, and it had, I don't know, bales of hay, right? I'm not an expert in anything, I can just tell you how I see it. And then after that, we noticed the line. It was all blocked off, like the section, the yellow things were there, yeah? And they were farming up the other end. So we thought, what's happening? Why aren't you farming in the rest of the land? Right? So we looked, and of course we found this, and then we had a letter and so forth. But it was active land prior to that, from the years that I've been there, and some of my friends have lived there for years, over 30 years, and they've noticed that it's actually stopped in that section. And that is only from October, so...
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else at all? No? No? Quickly? No? No? Thank you very much. Bless you. Thank you. So I'd now like to invite Matthew Hall. Of course, he's the agent to make his presentation. Committee, of course, you know you've got 5 minutes also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. So this proposal, as we can see on the screen, planning in principle, is for linear development set between residential properties, which in my opinion follows the form and character of the area, even though at the back there are barn conversions. This site on the latest Environment Agency map is in flood zone 1. All the land at the back, I agree, is in flood zone 2 and 3, but this is in flood zone 1. And you can see on just to the south of this site, there are 2 barn conversions that were approved in flood zone 3, single story, but we are in flood zone 1. Could we have the Google map on the screen, please? Thank you. Thank you. So you can see our site to the south. In my opinion, this is infill development. You look at some planning officers' reports for Westbury, further to the south, and in those reports it does say that they consider Westbury, or this part of Westbury, as part of March. As the officer rightly said, an appeal was submitted, not by us, 50 metres north, which is the site to the north there, which was refused planning permission, and the appeal was dismissed. That was 7 years ago. And that site that was dismissed is set between a large construction company and a large farming business. This site is set between residential properties, not commercial, not farming, between residential properties. And it faces all residential properties to the east, residential properties to the north, and a continuous built-up form to the south. In the emerging plan, I appreciate that has limited weight. Limited weight, I understand that. Site to the north was put in the emerging plan. Appreciate that was 3 or 4 years ago. Appreciate it's got limited weight, but someone must have thought, well, that site might be suitable for development. And that's north, that's further north, further out. March Town Council support the application. None of the consultees have objected to the application. It's a small-scale development for, in my opinion, infill development, individual dwellings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr Hall. Members, Councillor French.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, quite a few questions here. In front, there will be a dike there. It's a riparian dike. Obviously, you're well aware of that. Does the applicant, I'd be interested. I know it's only a pip, and you haven't got the details, but you must have an idea. So, if this application was approved, these are serious considerations. Cesspits. You know that we haven't got main sewers at Westwood. In actual fact, I would possibly argue the toss, is it Westwood or is it Granford? Because just up the road it could well be Granford, not Westwood, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, sorry. So you will take the riparian dikes, the cesspits. As you know, we still haven't resolved the problems at Lime Tree, which I hope you will do at some stage. If I want to turn right out of my house, I have to turn left, go round to the roundabout and back again. I rely on the lights at Goose Tree to give a break for me to turn right. So take that into consideration as well. I know it's only a pit, but there's a lot of questions in there.
Thank you.
That's very pertinent questions. You're right, Councillor French. Anybody else at all before we let Mr Hall go? No. That's me. No. Thank you. So we'll quickly move on. Questions to officers. Councillor French again. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a PIP, and I don't really think we've got enough information from any of the authorities, especially highways. So I think it's really a debate rather than questions.
A question to officers?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
open,
it's a
it's
PIP.
open to you guys to
difficult.
answer then.
It's a
if you
PIP.
can.
It's difficult to ask you a question because you haven't got any details.
Yeah, through you, Chairman. As you said, PIPs are very basic. The idea is that there is no ability to really make any consideration outside principle. Obviously, if members have concerns that, based around the limited things we can consider, then there's a reason to not support the application. If members, but I can't really comment on more than that.
No, I think you've said what you can say. I think we'll leave that for debate, and then everybody else can. Is that a question for officers, Councillor Murphy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. In your starter, you said that this was called an elsewhere site. So what are the other sites around it, on the other side of the road, this side of the road? Well, because to me, all it looks like is an infill, not an elsewhere site.
Through you, Chairman. So this, as a reference in the presentation, was something that was considered as part of the appeal site on the opposite side of the road. I think at the time the council, in their refusal, did contend that this was an elsewhere location, and the appellant suggested that it did form part of the built-up form of March. Within the inspector's assessment, they did come to the conclusion, due to the distance from services and facilities, and lack of public transport links into the settlement of March, the inspector did conclude that this part of Westbury would be classed as an elsewhere location.
Did you want to come back on that? No, you're happy? Right. Any more questions to officers before I close it? No? Okay, thank you. Right. With that, I'd now like to invite members to debate the item in respect to material planning considerations. We're in debate. Councillor French, kick it off.
I do, but I think I've got quite a lot to discuss. if anybody else wants to discuss first.
Okay, Councillor Benny then, okay.
Well, I'd just say the same, Mr. Chairman, after listening to the speaker. I think as councillors, we should have a whip round, see if we could get Councillor French moved. It sounds a terrible place to live. No electricity, no sewage. I think we should rescue Councillor French from Westry. Other than that, I'll wait and see what my friends have to say.
Well, that's a light-hearted view for a start. I'm sure Councillor French don't need a whip round, but Councillor French, the floor's yours.
Thank you. I've lived there 41 years, and I have seen it grow. There's one footpath which is not in a particularly good, and that is the opposite side, which is the side that I believe Mrs. Simmons is on. I do have problems with the dike. I have problems with the cesspits, the footpath. I'm quite sure you've heard me talk before. I sit on the Smart Area Transport survey. We're going to have new traffic lights at Hobstot. That will be, the contractor's been chosen, and that will be starting in the new year. Westry just cannot really take any more development. You know, if this was for 1 or 2 houses, but not 9, you're all aware of what's happening at Lime Tree Close. That's been going on for nearly 5 years, still not resolved. And this is another nightmare up the road waiting to happen. I cannot support this application.
Yeah, okay, that's, yeah. Right, anybody else? Councillor Marks, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor French says, obviously Councillor French is the local councillor and knows the area a lot better than I. But I mean, I look at it and we're told that planning is regarding land use. The lady over there did the maths with 3 cars per site. To me, what my concern is the highways entry and exit of there before you start. It's that road, you only need a bit further along, lorries turning in, and they have a lane themselves to turn into the factory. I know at the minute the factory is empty, but it can stack back for some distance. My biggest concern is highways. I don't think there's enough here from highways. Yeah, I hear about cesspits. We're on cesspit at home, and I hear about water pressures and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I think that is part and parcel of life, especially today, because Anglian Water have, for some reason, lowered our pressure as well, which are all factors. But at the end of the day, I think the major one for me is there's too many houses in too small a plot, which then, in addition, too many vehicle movements. So on this occasion, I don't think I'd be able to support this.
No. Anybody else at all? No? Well, yeah, I'm not going to reiterate what everybody else said. It's too much. It's not enough. It's not enough in the report. 9 houses is far too many. Probably 2 or 3 would be too many as well. But whatever. But we are where we are, and we are looking at the 9 today. And like I said, Councillor French is the local councillor. She's been up the road countless and back countless times, as probably we all have. But I listen to what anybody else has got to say if there's anything else to say, but I don't think I can support this. Thank you. But I'm open for taking any more. No? The debate? No? I'm going to close it. Closed it. The debate's finished. Officers? No? That's very quick then. So, do I have a proposer to go with officers recommend to refuse planning permission? Councillor French. Have I got a second on that? Councillor Marks, okay, thank you for that, both of you. So we've got a proposal to refuse this planning application, proposed by Councillor French, seconded by Councillor Marks. Can I have a show of hands on that?
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
So that has been refused, thank you. So without further ado, I'll now hand over to Hayley Parker-Haynes, again, Development Officer here at Fenland. She hasn't changed her occupation at all. To present agenda item number 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This item relates to the confirmation of a tree preservation order at Cedar Manor. An objection has been received in respect of the serving of the TPO, which is the reason for it being before members today. The site is marked by a blue dot on the location plan as shown and is situated within the Bowthorpe Conservation Area with a number of TPOs located in and around the site along Bowthorpe Hall Gardens and Clarkson Avenue. The TPO plan and an aerial photo is shown on screen. The TPO proposed relates to one sycamore tree which is shown central in the right-hand image between the two dwellings. These are some photographs from the front of the property. These highlight the significance of the highly prominent tree. The photos shown on this slide show the visual dominance of these trees adjacent to the non-designated heritage asset Bowthorpe Hall. And this photo shows the tree from the neighbouring property. To summarise, a work to a tree in a conservation area application was received for the pollarding of one sycamore tree within the Bowthorpe Conservation Area. The Council's Arboricultural Officer assessed the tree using the tree evaluation method for preservation orders and concluded that it met the criteria for protection, and therefore an emergency tree preservation order was served in October 2025. The tree provides a high level of amenity to the street scene, nearby listed buildings and Bowthorpe Hall, a non-designated heritage asset, and makes an important contribution to the character of the area. Its removal or severe pruning would have a harmful visual impact. An objection to the TPO has been received from a neighbouring property on health and safety grounds, citing limb failure during recent storms. However, insufficient evidence was submitted to justify the extent of the proposed pruning. It is important to note that a TPO does not prevent necessary works, but ensures that inappropriate works are properly controlled. For these reasons, it is recommended that the TPO be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you once again. We have no speakers on this application, so now I'd like to invite members to debate the item. Councillor Benny, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. There we are, under the TPO. Truthfully, it doesn't stop any work that needs to be done by having a TPO on it. If the work is needed, I've found, because I had a tree in my garden where I used to live, the Fenland Arboricultural Officer was very good. If it needs work doing that makes it unsafe, that can all be done. I really see no reason really why we shouldn't be granting this TPO on the tree. It does look quite a nice mature tree.
Yeah, I feel the same as you, Councillor Benny, but I'll take Councillor French.
Yeah, agree.
Not much to debate this, I don't think. Okay, so we're going to close the debate. Members, do you have any officers got anything to say? Would you like to say anything? No? Okay. So, do I have a proposal or a proposer to go with officers' recommendation to confirm the TPO? Councillor Benny first. Councillor French second. So we've got a proposal to go with officer recommendation to put a TPO on this tree. Councillor Benny's proposing it. Councillor French is seconding it. Can I have a hands show on that? That TPO has been approved. So,
Number 82.
yeah, I've got it marked him off. Well done, Joe. You're a saviour as always. Right. So now I'll hand over to David Grant to present application F/YR25/0787. It's another PIP application. So whenever you're ready, thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This application seeks permission in principle for the development of 7 dwellings on land east of 50 Station Road outside the developed footprint of Mainey. Slide 2 shows the location plan and aerial photograph. The application site is located outside of the settlement footprint of Mainey. The site is immediately adjacent to the east of the built-up settlement and is currently in use as a paddock. Adjacent development consists of frontage dwellings along Station Road to the west, agricultural buildings to the north and arable fields to the east and south. The site is bordered by fencing of varying heights to the west, with established trees and hedging to the northern boundary. Open boundaries are located to the east and south. Slide 3 shows an illustrative site plan. The site and surrounding area lies entirely within flood zone 3. The eastern extent of the site is subject to a low, medium and high annual likelihood of surface water flooding. To address this potential flood risk, proposed finished floor levels are to be sited 2.1 metres above existing ground level. These are the site photos. Photo 1 shows the existing access, which is proposed to be widened to cater for the existing dwelling at 50 Station Road at the front of the image and a further 7 dwellings to the rear. Photo 2 shows a view looking east over the paddocks with established trees to the north and open arable fields to the east. Photo 3 looks west, showing the low-level fencing and neighbouring frontage bungalows along Station Road, with Photo 4 showing the extent of the site with caravans to the south of the proposed application boundary. In summary, this application seeks permission in principle for the development of 7 dwellings on land east of 50 Station Road, outside, albeit adjacent to the development footprint of Mainey. Development of this site would result in unacceptable urbanisation of this rural location, constituting backland development in an elsewhere location. It would erode the character of the area and the wider open countryside, contrary to criteria C, D and E of policy LP12 of the Fenland local plan. As such, any residential development of this site will be contrary to the above considerations, and thus, in terms of location and use, the planning in principle application fails. The site lies entirely within flood zone 3, policy LP12, part A, criterion J seeks to ensure that developments would not put people or property in dangers from identified risks, such as flooding. Policy LP14 of the Fenland local plan and chapter 14 of the MPPF seek to steer development to areas with the least probability of flooding, and development will not be permitted if there are reasonably available sites appropriate for the proposed development in areas with a lower risk of flooding. This application is not considered to be accompanied by a substantive sequential test, and as such, insufficient assessment has been undertaken and inadequate information submitted to demonstrate that it is not possible for the development to be located on a site within a lower flood risk, and as such, the development is contrary to the aforementioned policies. For the reasons given above, the recommendation is one of refusal.
Yep, thank you, David. We have one speaker on this application. I'd now like to invite Lee Bevans, of course he's the agent, to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes, Mr. Bevans. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The clients moved into their house in December 1995, 30 years ago, and they've never been flooded, experienced flooding at the address, or even been waterlogged with surface water. The only time that they have had an excess of water was outside their driveway on the road, and that was due to the road drain being blocked. On investigation, the land distributor filter was blocked solid with mud and dirt. This was soon cleared after talking with Council Highways back in March, and this has been fine ever since. The overflow of sewage that is reported as being recurring every year on some of the objection letters has not happened at the address, but is a recurring problem at Poppy Fields, where I believe there's an ongoing issue that Councillor Marks is involved with. As regards to land drainage, the clients have been paying every year since 1995 to Welney Drainage, and they also maintain the ditches around their land, which they pay a farmer to come in twice a year to cut, and every so often they pay it to be dredged. The clients are aware that there are other landowners that do not do any of this and do not even have to pay for the pumps. Their stables, barns, tack rooms, sheds, polytunnel and paddocks have also been up for 29/30 years. 52 Station Road, north of their field, also has brick buildings and stables east side of the property, which all protrude into the area of the countryside and go beyond the linear frontage of Station Road. Moving on to the slides. Let's go to the first one. Slide 1 shows recent planning applications submitted along Station Road, in particular the site to the north at 76 Station Road. Whilst this had pig sheds on the site, it still proposed a backland development. As the planning officer has remarked with this proposal, it does not respect the rural character or linear settlement pattern of Station Road. The site to the north was also in flood zone 3 and had to raise floor levels of the proposed dwellings. Slide 2, the next one please. This highlights that it's a triangular shaped area of land where the development is proposed. You will see that it's fairly self-contained parcel bound by Station Road and existing ditches to the north and south and east, I guess. You can also see there are numerous outbuildings established behind the linear frontage of Station Road. They're marked with the red squares. Go on to the next slide, please. This slide shows the site layout that formed the permission in principle for the 9 dwellings at 76 or rear of 76 Station Road, and highlights again that there is a precedent already for backland development along Station Road. This proposed development, whilst being behind the frontage of Station Road, is following an example already established by the development you see in front of you there, and also follows a general concept of development in Mainey that has been behind the linear frontage. What I'd like to refer to, that's what's been happening along Westfield Road in Mainey, which is the opposite end of the town. That too has a strong linear frontage, but in recent years there's been numerous approved applications, including 24 dwellings at Smart Close, 3 dwellings approved at land north of 100 Westfield Road, 9 self-built dwellings at 36 Westfield Road, 7 dwellings northwest of 34 Westfield Road, 8 dwellings at 18 Westfield Road. They're all behind the linear frontage. My point here is that at some point, a scheme sets a precedent for backland development, as can be clearly seen along Westfield Road. This site has had the precedent set by the development to the north and is in a more sustainable location, being within 10 minutes walk of the village centre, including the school, and 10 minutes walk to the station, where we're being told that needs development to support the station. The clients wish to develop the site for a retirement property for themselves and a dwelling for their daughter. The additional dwellings, together with their current property, would pay for the dwellings to be built, as well as supporting the required infrastructure, likely with the actual scheme. Further specific details on drainage, flooding and highway works would be submitted in a future technical details consent, and I'm confident that all these matters could be addressed without causing flooding to neighbouring properties and ensuring highway safety. We would therefore ask members to look at the benefits of the scheme and go against officer recommendation and support this sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start, would you like to comment on Councillor Bevan's comments?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to clarify, Poppy Fields is a development which is further down the road, up by Wisbeach Road. I have been involved with flooding throughout the village, and I mean all of the village. I actually called an Anglian Water meeting, which Councillor French actually attended about 4 years ago, because our village does flood on a regular basis, and various places are in flood zones, and various properties feeding that, the sewers, are causing problems. So that is part and parcel of what I've been involved with regarding flooding in Mainey.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Marks, clarifying that. So members, questions, clarifications to? Okay, Councillor Mifferton.
Thank you, Chair. I know this PIP application. Have you consulted the local drainage board at all?
We haven't consulted the local drainage board. There's obviously been comments back and forth with the LLFA about the sequential tests and everything else, and I believe that they were satisfied with what's been done. Obviously, they're looking for further details that would come in with a technical details consent, but we haven't done specific consultation with the drainage board, no.
Okay, Councillor Marks, floor is yours.
Thank you. Just for clarity, I'm on the Mainey and Welney Drainage Board, just so everybody is aware of that. Thank you. Obviously, I know the area. I live just down the road from this, a bit like Councillor French previously. I have a couple of concerns. One, I think this is, and I think to coin a phrase, I believe it's pint into a quart pot. That's an awful lot of properties being put into a very small area. With that, in saying that, you've said that the applicant and his daughter want to live there, which, okay, that's only 2 houses out of a possible 7, plus the existing house that's there. And my other major concern is the actual entrance stroke exit onto Station Road. The property stands very forward, the existing property stands forward. The sight vision on that road at that point, there are vehicles still doing 40 plus coming along that road. And equally, there is a pavement there as well with small children going to school. So I really do have those both as concerns, and I don't see how you can sort of like get over both of those. However, I'd like to hear what you have to say for that. And are these properties going to be cesspit or onto main sewer?
Thank you for the comments. In terms of the layout, I think if you look at the layout, if you go back to the slide that's got the PIP scheme proposed on it, I wouldn't say that's a dense layout at all. If you look at the size of the gardens, there's a paddock retained opposite. It's pretty low density, I would say. I don't think, that site could take a lot higher density. In terms of the highways, we've looked at the highways, and the likelihood is that road wouldn't be offered for adoption anyway. It'd be a private road, but the visibility displays can all be achieved. We've looked at that specifically, almost as if it was an outline application just committing the access, because access is the key driver often on these types of schemes. I don't believe there's an issue with highway safety and visibility displays at that point, albeit that you do get cars sometimes park along that section of road, but we can't control that. It's a public highway unless you yellow line it. In terms of the drainage for the individual properties, again, that would be committed in the technical details consent, and we would seek advice from a drainage expert as to what is the best solution for that, but it wouldn't be onto the main system, no.
Thank you. I'll wait for debate.
Yeah, I'll come in there. What does concern me, even more than probably that, what Councillor Marks is eloquently put, the site is within the catchment of Mainey Town Lots Water Recycling Centre, which currently lacks capacity to accommodate any additional flows generated by the proposed development. Yeah, they're saying it's included within our business plan as a growth scheme investment between 25 and 25 to 30, which is obviously 5 years away. But who knows whether Anglian Water will do it in those 5 years? No one ever knows with Anglian Water, do we? But it goes on to say Anglian Water would object to any connection into the fail network from the proposed development due to the capacity constraints and the pollution risk. So that worries me even more. So I'd like your comments on that, please.
Again, as if the scheme was approved today, the technical details consent would be worked up with a drainage consultant to ensure that the best solution is achieved, and further conversations would take place with the drainage boards, with Anglian Water. What I would say is it's not directed at the foul, but obviously there's a attenuation pond up there as well obviously on the PIP scheme. In terms of controlling the flow would go into the ditches, but there would be controlled flow. But as I say, that would form part of the technical details consent. I can't commit to that in the PIP, but I'm aware of the foul water issues, and that would be sorted out.
Yeah, to come back on that, yeah, I can attenuation pond would take the water, obviously, but I am really, really worried about this foul water. It's in the report. It just is, and to me, well, I'll see what wait to the debate, but I've obviously got a little bit to add to that. But thank you. Anybody else at all? No, thank you very much. So, members, questions to officers? No? Not at all? No? I'd now like to invite members to debate the item in respect to material considerations. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hands. We're in debate. Who'd like to kick it off? Councillor Marks, thank you.
Okay. Firstly, what I would say is I'm on Mainey Parish Council. I wasn't there when this was debated. I've read their comments. I think their comments are all poignant, and I do agree with them. I do believe this is backland development. Yes, we have got the pig sheds that are having a development there, which has already come in front of us previously. However, I believe there was also some sort of planning regarding getting pig farms and stuff out of villages, so we looked upon that as part and parcel regarding that PIP application at the time, which was here 2-3 years ago. This piece of land goes further back, certainly, than the piece of land where the pig farm is. My biggest concern is flooding. Literally across the road where you see it says pond and pond. The people there were flooded this time last year. There is an Anglian Water pump that literally is by the first one where it says Station Road Pond. That pump actually stopped. Anglian Water couldn't work out why, and it was then proven it actually backed up all the way from Wisbeach Road. Wisbeach Road is approximately 1/4 of a mile down from there, where Poppy Fields, where it was mentioned Poppy Fields was. It then transpired further, keep going down towards the sewage works and Pump Corner, where we had got 2 or 3 blockages as well, and everything there, that whole line is struggling to keep up with foul water. Okay, we can have cesspits put in, you know, and then that's probably the right way. However, the drain at the bottom, the drain at the top of the site is not, I believe, a Maney and Welney drain, so that will be a private drain that has to feed in at least, I guess, quarter to almost a third of a mile into a main drain. So we've got, you know, another drain there with more issues with farmers and stuff. The other thing is these properties are going to be raised to come out of flood zone 3 in Maney. I've seen what happens there. We only have to look at Jason Cook's at the beginning of the village coming in from Chatteris, and quite honestly, you need a step ladder to get into the thing. It's not somewhere that's actually flooded. However, we have had to take that provision, and I think these properties will sit out as well. I just cannot support this application. I think it's over density as well. We've heard, and I accept, that the applicant wants to have his daughter live on, or have their daughter live on site. That's fine. That's one property, maybe two. But at the end of the day, this is just too much in our small village.
Yeah, I'll come in there. Thank you, Councillor Marks. Good local knowledge by a good local councillor there. I think we've all learned a little bit over this. Thank you very much. So any more questions at all? We're in debate, of course. No? Nobody wants to debate this? No? I think, well, I'll come in then. Yeah, I think, Councillor, I think it's just a step too far for me. I intimated that Anglian Water, there's no flows available on, they're up to the limit on the flows. It certainly is backland development. Like Councillor Mark says, the access isn't very good either, given that obviously space can be achieved, but this don't tick any boxes for me, really. I just don't feel I can support this scheme in its present state. Like Councillor Mark said, if there's one there, well, maybe it'd be a different scenario, but it isn't. The scenario is we're looking at what we're looking for, and I just don't feel that I can support it at this stage. Thank you. Councillor Marks?
If I just come back to one thing the agent said, Mr. Bevan then mentioned Westfield Road regarding development down there. We turned down as a committee 7, I think it was 5, if not, on just as you went round the corner on the S-bend. The inspector found against that, but we'd got no costs. And the inspector's report was actually, I think we did right. However, he felt the applicant further down the road for 3/4 bungalows with almost exactly the same entrance, the property standing very close to the road, he actually turned down and agreed with us. So, you know, again, I look at this as a very similar application as its backland and the access with the vision.
Fair comment. Right, so I'm going to close the debate now. I can't see anybody else want hands up at all. Officers, would you like to come in? No, you wouldn't. So we can move on quickly. So do I have a proposal to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission? Councillor Marks? Who's going to second it? Councillor French. So we've got a proposal forward by Councillor Marks, seconded by Councillor French, to refuse this application, PIP application. Could I have a hands up show on that?
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
That application has been refused. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This application seeks permission in principle for the development of one dwelling on land north of 120 London Road outside the development footprint of Chatteris. Slide 2 shows the location plan and aerial photograph. The application site is located outside the settlement footprint of Chatteris. The site is situated to the west of London Road, to the northeast of 120 London Road. The site is grassed and was formerly used as a bowling green, with the building in the western rear corner of the site formerly used as a pavilion. The boundaries of the site are bordered by a 1.4 metre high timber fence to the sides and rear, with an established 1 metre 1.8 metre high hedge to the site frontage. The site is located entirely within flood zone 1 and subject to a low annual likelihood of surface water flooding. Slide 3 here, as denoted by the red star there on the plan, shows the distance from the site to the built-up settlement of Chatteris. By road, the separation distance is 350 metres from the southern edge of Chatteris. Immediately adjacent development consists of a single residential dwelling to the south, with areas to the east, north and west being rural in nature. Slide 4 shows an illustrative site plan. Slide 5 is the site photos. Photo 1 shows a view looking west over the site and 120 London Road in the distance. Photo 2 shows a view of the narrow footpath looking north toward the settlement of Chatteris in the distance. There is no footpath serving the frontage of the site or adjacent areas to the north and south. Photo 3 shows the bowling green and pavilion building with 120 London Road beyond, and photo 4 shows the open fields and a line of trees to the rear of the site. In summary, under policy LP3 of the Fenland local plan, the site is considered to be in an elsewhere location where new housing is only supported if it is demonstrably essential to a rural-based enterprise. No such justification has been provided. The application site constitutes an area of land located outside the development footprint of Chatteris within an elsewhere location as defined in the local plan. Development of this site would result in unacceptable urbanisation, extending development into the countryside, further eroding the character of the area and the open countryside. The development proposal will therefore be contrary in principle to policies LP3 and LP16 of the Fenland local plan. For the reasons given above, the recommendation is one of refusal.
Yep, thank you, David. We have one speaker on this application, and I'd like to invite Matthew Hall to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes, Mr. Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. So this application, in our opinion, is for an infill plot for a single dwelling to match in with a continuous linear development along this section of London Road, which are all individually designed dwellings and have been there a number of years. There's things in the report about this bowling green. I've spoken to the owner. So this was private bowling green that the use ceased in 2014 when the owner passed away. It was never, this is what I'm told, it was never a public facility. It was merely for the owners and his friends, and therefore there's no loss of public facility as it was never a commercial bowling green. Chatteris already has a bowling green, obviously down Wood Street. Within the officer report, it states about refusals and appeals on this site, 2006, 2008, which I agree. That's 2006, 2008, under a completely and utterly different local plan. All along the front of this site, on the opposite side of the road, as the officer has said, there's a footpath that's nearly full length of London Road going back to Chatteris, and the site is all in flood zone 1. Just looking on there at that Google map behind my head, obviously shows a red star where the site is, and obviously where Chatteris is, and just to the north-east-ish where the Hallam land, where they've started building. So I went down here last week twice. But what's not mentioned is all to the south of this site, down London Road, down Stocking Drove, there's various approvals been given since about 2019. Some of those are built out, some are being built at the moment, where I went last week. And obviously there's some down there part of the way through construction. So in our opinion, it's been accepted by this committee that this is part of the built-up form of Chatteris LP3. There are no objections to this application from any consultee or any members of the public. Chatteris Town Council support the application. It's an ideal site for an individual dwelling to match in with the adjacent development in flood zone 1. It's not been used for agricultural land 20, 30 years at least. It's got a footpath link, matches in with the adjacent built-up form, linear development. No objections from anybody. Support for Chatteris Town Council. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Hall. You know what to do, members. Questions, clarifications, if you want any. Mr. Hall? No? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hall. Oh, sorry, Councillor Mifflin, you're in the last minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I know you did say, sorry, Mr. Hall. thank you for your presentation. I know you did say it wasn't a public asset as a bowling green, and it just closed in 2014 or last year, 2014, when you want to pass away. What has it been? Because it looks well kept. What has it been used for since then?
My understanding is the gentleman who made it a bowling green passed away in 2014. His wife still lives in the house that's there. It's kept, I believe, by his daughter and her daughters. It's just maintained, but it hasn't been used, from what they're telling me in an email, since 2014 as a bowling green. It's just a green piece of land.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Anybody else at all? No? Okay, thank you very much. Members, questions to officers at all? No? Oh, yes, there is. Councillor Murphy, thank you.
We'll talk about the other things about it. You said in your thing that it's now flooded. It floods there. Well, I personally have lived in Chatteris for 80 years now, and I've never known it to flood. That land there, ever known it to flood. It is just frontage, and it is, as Matthew Hall said, it is for the family of the lady that lives in the bungalow next door. It was a total private piece of land. Like you said, the gentleman just enjoyed bowls. He invited friends down there, but it was always his. There is a roadway down the other side of the road, and there has been for a lot longer. But the thing that gets me is, you're saying that it cannot be built next door to the bungalow which they own themselves. But if you go any farther down Chatteris Road there, you'll find that there's more properties being built there than enough. And they're way outside the area, way outside. Should never have been built there, but they are being built there, and it don't seem to be able to stop it at the moment. We're just talking about one there next to another bungalow for a family to live in while she lives in the bungalow a few years out. She's got left, and they want to be there with her. And she's got a big family, and that is what they exactly want. Okay. As I say, I've never known it to flood. It's just frontage, and I think it's an ideal position, and it should go ahead.
Right, so Councillor Murphy, that was supposed to be a question for officers, but that will do. That will. Did you want to answer that? Really, that was more in debate. Really.
Should I say?
Yeah, I don't think that's really.
Connor,
I don't think that was a question.
Should I say? Is that right?
Went the wrong way round to it, Councillor Murphy. I thought we were going to be here till 6, but never mind.
Sorry, just for clarification, I'd like to know what the question was.
I think we'd all like to know what the question was.
Chairman, obviously, I think a lot of that was opinion-based, so obviously that's not the same opinion we've got in the office, so I would say no, it's not right, but it's your subjective opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the best answer we can give there. Yeah, I think yeah. Anyway, that's where we are. So, okay, thank you for that. So we are in debate now, ladies and gentlemen. Councillor Murphy's said his lovely little piece. Councillor Benny, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. More than anything, I'd like to declare I do know the lady that lives in the bungalow. She used to come in the shop, but I've been retired 9 years and I haven't seen her since, so I don't think there's any conflict of interest there. Also went to school with one of her daughters. She's got 6 daughters, and I went to school with one of them, but I haven't seen her since I left school either. So, but I'll just declare that for clarity. Yeah, I totally agree with Councillor Murphy. The bungalow that is there that you can see is actually a replacement bungalow. There used to be a grey bungalow there before that, and it had terrible subsidence, and it was taken down, and that one was rebuilt. Yeah, it is was a private bowling green. We've got a case here, I think, where I wasn't sure, but Councillor Murphy seems to know more than me, that we've got the family member who's going to live next door to their mother. Very commendable for anybody. I've had parents that were old, and the closer you live, the better the care is. So I think that's a very good reason for that. It does say in the officer's report that this is outside of Chatteris. It is not outside of Chatteris. You're at least a mile from the bottom of Ferry Hill where the sign that says Chatteris as you come in from Somersham is. And the speed limit of 50 miles an hour that drops to 40 miles an hour, I think this has been very well debated by the committee. We must have 10 houses that are built further along, going out towards the sign that we've approved. I see nothing wrong with this. We've got the Hallam land that on photo 2, you can just about see the back of Tithe Estate, and they're building the Hallam land there. I think the principle of development has been very well established in this area, and I'm sure this bungalow will be built to a high standard as the one is that is there already, and I will be supporting this application.
Yeah, okay, good points, I suppose. Anybody else want to finish debating this? I think we've done it to death. I think Councillor Murphy's intimate knowledge of that particular property and everything in Chatteris, I think, goes a long way, and Councillor Benny's really seconded Councillor Murphy's opinion. So I think where we are. So I'm going to close the debate now and bring officers in. You haven't got anything? No. Okay. Right. So do I have a proposer to go with officer's recommendation to refuse planning permission in the first instance? To refuse, just to... No, you've got chances. No, I don't see any take-ups to that. So I'm looking, that's going to fail. So I'm looking for another proposal, really. Councillor Murphy, what are you proposing and the reasons for doing so?
It's inside Chatteris area. It's a full application. It's a wonderful application for it, and it should just go ahead.
Never mind. Oh, never mind, it's a PIP application, but I can see the relevance of what you're saying, Councillor Murphy. Right. Yeah, and obviously we've set a precedent many 2, 3, 4 years ago, like Councillor, like Mr. Hall said, we've passed 10 or 12 houses down there, further on towards Chatteris, further out of Chatteris, and there's a couple, 2 or 3 down Stocking Drove. So we've got to be consistent on this, in my opinion. But anyway, Councillor Murphy's proposed that we go against officer recommendation to approve this with the reasons, and some that I've just helped as well. Have we got a seconder on this? Councillor Benny, thank you. So I'm happy with that. It's a PIP application, just to reiterify. So I'm looking for a show of hands on that proposal, please.
Application's approved.
So the application has been approved, and thank you, Joe, for that. So now it just leaves me, thank you for attending. This concludes today's meeting, and declare the meeting closed, and the next meeting is on January the 10th, and all it leaves me to do is wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very, very happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you. No, sorry?
It's Wednesday the 7th.
Well, it's on the 10th on here.
It's Wednesday the 7th.
Okay, I'm being told, although it's on the thing, the 10th, but it's the 7th, everybody. I'm sure you'll all put it in your diaries and look forward to it. Thank you.